Hello and welcome to the Daily Climate Show. Coming up, hundreds of activists in Germany are ordered to leave an abandoned village that's due to be cleared for the expansion of a massive coal mine after their last-ditch court efforts fail. A 5-year-old boy is swept away by floodwaters and 2 people are hit by falling trees as the death toll in the storm sweeping across California hits 14. And after a year of record temperatures, drought and wildfires, Europe officially records its second hottest year on record in 2022, with only 2020 being hotter. Hello and welcome to the Daily Climate Show, where we track the changes to our world and investigate some of the potential solutions to the climate crisis. Now, our top story this afternoon. A court in Germany has rejected a last-ditch attempt by climate activists to stay in an abandoned village that's due to be cleared for the expansion of a massive open-cast coal mine. Now, the utility company, RWE, wants to extract the coal beneath Lutzrath near the western city of Cologne, saying it will help energy security in the country. But activists are refusing and are attempting to block heavy machinery from getting in. Well, we can speak now to Raphael Taylor, one of the activists on the ground in Lutzrath. Raphael, thanks for joining us on the Daily Climate Show. Just give us a sense of what today's been like. Have tensions been high?
What you see behind me is a standoff between activists and the police. The police has tried to push into the village today. They did succeed to gain a couple of meters, but for now they seem to call it a day because the activists held strong.
So, Raphael, just give us a bit of context now. Explain to our viewers exactly why the village of Lutzrath is so important, not only to this energy company, but to the people trying to stop it opening.
There are 280 million tons of coal underneath the ground here. If those will be dug out and burned, this will kick us across the 1.5-degree limit. Germany will fail its Paris agreement. That's why we're here. And you were talking about energy security. There are several studies that are saying the coal here won't be touched within the next 3 years. So this has nothing to do with the Russia-Ukraine war. This has all to do with profit and the interests of that utility company.
And Raphael, very briefly, what will happen next now? Because presumably the protesters, they will be moved on. But where does this leave Germany trying to reach their climate ambitions?
In shambles, to be honest. It leaves those ambitions in shambles. As I said, we won't be able to hold the Paris Agreement if Germany digs out this coal. And that's why the activists for the past 5 years have dug into this village. There are tree houses, there are tunnels, and obviously we'll try as long as possible to defend this village and the coal underneath the ground.
And Raphael, have you spoken to protesters today? Are they willing to dig in and keep coming back?
That's what we're here for. We are already dug in. There are trenches, there are tree houses, there are still the houses inside the village. There's food stocked up. And yes, we're expecting that we can resist for a couple of weeks. And we hope that the Green Party will make the right decision and will take responsibility for the climate and call off this police action, call off this action that profits no one but that big company and their shareholders.
OK, Raphael Taylor, thank you for talking to us from the village of Lutzrath in Germany there. Now let's take a look at some of the other stories making news today for you. And new developments in England will have to include sustainable drainage systems from 2024. Now, the Environment Department is bringing in regulations to reduce the risk of flooding and sewers being overwhelmed by heavy rain. Now, measures such as so-called rain gardens, ponds and green roofs could be built to help soak water away into the ground. Environment Minister Rebecca Powell says the scheme is vitally important for protecting the country against the effects of climate change.
Climate change is happening, and we know that we will have to expect more extremes of weather at both ends, more extreme rain, but also more drought. So that's why we are planning. That's why resilience and water resources are so important. So we've got a huge piece of work for a holistic approach on all of this as we go forward. And it's critical, obviously, as a government that we have water to use and that but then we are also safe from flooding. And that's why we've got this £5.2 billion flood budget.
The Met Office has issued 3 yellow warnings for persistent heavy rain throughout the day, covering much of Wales and northwest England. Now, of course, some disruption is to be expected in those areas, including flooding of homes and businesses, a spray on the roads, increased journey times on public transport and possible power cuts. Well, there are currently 28 flood warnings in place across England, meaning flooding is expected, and 94 flood alerts where flooding is possible. And a lobby group launches today in an attempt to push Keir Starmer into making nature and climate a key part of his election manifesto. Now, the Labour Climate and Environment Forum is holding an event in Westminster with speakers including Ed Miliband and Rachel Reeves. Now, the group says tackling the climate and environment emergency is popular with voters and should be a core Labour value. And after another record-breaking summer of soaring temperatures, heat waves and drought, it's perhaps unsurprising that 2022 has officially been declared the second hottest year on record in Europe. Only 2020 was hotter. Well, globally, it was also the 5th hottest year on record. That's according to the EU's Climate Change Service. Now, the group says the last 8 years have been the 8 hottest years on record as the planet continues to warm. Now, California is facing a relentless string of storms that are battering coastlines, washing away roads and turning rivers into gushing flood zones. Now, thousands have been evacuated from towns with histories of deadly mudslides. 14 are so far known to have been killed, with a 5-year-old boy being swept away by rushing floodwaters. Our correspondent Sabah Chowdhury has the latest.
An unusual sight for California. Famous for its beaches, the Golden State, as it's known, is now underwater. A state of emergency with no bounds. More than a dozen people have died, and the desperate search for a 5-year-old who was on his way to school has been called off because of the danger to divers. All they've found so far is one shoe. Here in Montecito, there's a tragic sense of nostalgia. An evacuation order is now in place. 5 years to the day a mudslide killed 23 people. Some of the locals include celebrities like Oprah, the Sussexes, and Ellen DeGeneres.
This is crazy. On the 5-year anniversary, we are having unprecedented rain. This creek next to our house never flows, ever. Probably about 9 feet up. We need to be nicer to Mother Nature, because Mother Nature is not happy with us.
Severe storms have battered the town, and tens of thousands of people have been without power. Ironically, drought warnings are the norm around here. So, for locals, the impact of the flooding has hit hard.
A huge branch harpooned my roof, and I live in a small studio, and we could have been killed by it with over a ton. Like, I chose to go for a walk today and count my blessings and see if there is anybody else I can help.
Neighbourhood solidarity and a dose of normality, helping weather the storm. For now, Sabah Chowdhury, Sky News.
The Climate Show with Tom Heap returns this weekend at 3:30 and 7:30. That's Saturday and Sunday. And if there's something you want to know about climate change or the environment, you can scan the QR code now, send us your questions, and we'll do our best to answer them. Well, that's all from us today. We're back tomorrow at the same time. For now, though, back to SJ.